Hey loves, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. So yesterday I was supposed to upload my 6th video in my series of 7 unlikely things that I'm thankful for, but you guys, I just did not get around to it. It was a really busy day, but today you guys, I am going to do my 6th and 7th video in one video to kind of bring this series just together and bring it to a close. And so I'm really excited that you decided to join me to finish off this series. And today you guys, I want to talk about broken relationships. I want to talk about my broken marriage, why I'm thankful for my broken marriage, and why I'm thankful for a big breakup. Most of you guys don't know this, but I was married before David and I got married. I got married when I was 20 years old to someone I dated all throughout high school. I wasn't even old enough to drink yet, but we got married when I was 20. But that marriage was very, very short-lived. It did not last long at all. As a matter of fact, it only lasted about 6 months. We were married for 6 months and it just was a mess. We were a mess, it was a mess. And so we separated after 6 months of marriage and I was completely broken, heartbroken. Oh my gosh, I had never experienced, up to that point of my life, I had never experienced anything so traumatizing. And I felt alone. I felt like I had no one. I spent a lot of time in prayer. I spent a lot of time asking God why. I spent a lot of time growing in Christ during that time, despite the heartache and the heartbreak and just how horrible I felt. I grew strong. God was my strength during that time because I had none. I had no strength at that time. I was so just a mess. So that marriage was broken and I was broken as a result of that broken marriage. But again, I grew a lot in Christ, but not only did I grow in Christ, I had the opportunity to meet David. I actually met David about 3 months after that separation occurred. And, you know, we spent a lot of time together. He had just gotten out of a long relationship himself. And so, y'all, frankly, we were both rebounding really bad, but we were not trying to be in a relationship together. That was not what we were trying to do. We enjoyed each other's company and each other's time, and so we spent a lot of time together. But he was getting ready to go off to college, and so, you know, I was gonna go let him do his thing, but he actually really wanted to have a relationship. And so that's when we decided to give this thing a shot. And you guys know, you may or may not know, having a long distance relationship can be tough, okay? So he was in Alabama and I was in Florida. And we did a lot of driving back and forth to see each other. But for someone who is newly in college, away at college, even though he was on a football scholarship and, you know, he had priorities, he had things to do, you are suddenly around, well, not suddenly, but there's just lots of females and manipulative women that he wasn't used to being around. And he unfortunately got caught up in a not good situation that wasn't, you know, direct infidelity, but it was just not a good situation. And, you know, I tried to figure out if we should still be together. I loved him, obviously. He loved me. And we decided, you know what, we can make this work. We'll work through it. He ended up transferring from that school to Bethune so that we could at least be in the same state. It would be easier for us to get to each other and to see each other. And he kept himself very busy while he was at Bethune, you guys. He was the president of his fraternity. He threw events. He did all of this stuff. Like, he had no time for nobody or nothing on purpose. So he, which was smart of him, you know, he was about his business and he was about what he needed to do while he was there. Unfortunately, from my perspective, I was already messed up from that one incident and ultimately didn't really trust him. And he realized it before I did. And he addressed it and was just like, you know, it's not gonna be easy for us to make this work because you don't trust me. And I was like, yes, I do. You know, I was in denial about the situation, but he was like, no, you know, you don't trust me. And we broke up because he felt like it didn't make sense, you know, for us to try to be in this relationship if I didn't trust him. We still talked, we still did a lot of things like we were together, but we didn't have the title. We took the title away. And after a while, I was like, this is stupid. We still talk every day. We still hang out. It's like we're together. Why are we doing this? So let's just get back together. And he was like, no, you don't trust me. And I'm like, yes, I do. And he's like, no, you don't. And I was like, this dude is really tripping. I'm trying to save the relationship here. And you around here talking about no, because I don't trust you. So I was really beside myself that he was not trying to get back with me or accepting my invitation for us to get back together. And I was like, all right, you know what? I'm done. Forget it. And you know what, you guys? I spent a couple of days, I think it was a few days, just really beside myself about that. And one day I was driving home and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, you know, you don't trust this dude. You know, you went through something and you just haven't built the trust back up. You don't trust it. You have to accept that that is what it is right now. And I did, and I realized it, and I called him, and I was like, you know what? You're right. I don't trust you. And so I said my goodbyes. I understood why he didn't want the relationship to go forward, and I was okay. You know, I was okay. And so I called him and told him that, and we got off the phone, and like 3 seconds later, he called me back. And he was like, all right, well, now that you realize that, let's work on this thing. He was like, now that you realize that you don't trust me, we can actually work on this. We couldn't work on it until you realized that there was a problem. And I'm like, are you for real right now? Like, I was done. I had to mentally prepared myself. But of course, I was happy and relieved. And we worked through it, you guys. And I grew so much in terms of being in a relationship and not trying to be, you know what he's doing all the time or be all up in his, all up in his business 24/7. Like, I didn't have to clock him. I wasn't worried about him anymore. But it took a lot for me to get there. And I wouldn't have gotten there had we not been through that breakup and been through that season. For that breakup, I am really grateful. And so those are the last 2 things, you guys, of 7 unlikely things that I am thankful for. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this entire series. This was something totally different, but I just wanted to do something a little bit different for the Thanksgiving season. I hope you enjoyed all of these videos. And as always, I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more hair content, of course. And then, my every once in a while inspirational video or life lesson video. I like to do those. I think that those are honestly most meaningful. But obviously my purpose and my brand is all about hair creativity, undercut inspiration. And so I will continue to, of course, give you guys that. And so that's it, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. I will see you next time.